Hey students, I am recording this in case anybody is absent on Monday, December the 5th, 2022. So today we're going to look at our final exam project and also review the various topics that we've learned about this semester. So instead of giving you a final exam where you have to recite a bunch of things that you've learned during the semester, I decided to give you a project where you're going to be giving a presentation instead. So let me review this with you. You're going to do an early childhood education topic presentation. You're going to select a topic that we've learned about this semester, and after we talk about this project, we're going to review all the different topics that we've learned about this semester. You're going to create a slides presentation where you can teach me and your fellow classmates about the topic. One thing that I believe is that if you're able to teach on a topic, it shows that you know it pretty well. So that's why I'm asking you to present on a topic to show me your mastery of learning at least one of the things that we learned about this semester. You can teach on what you learned about the topic when I taught it, or you can do some additional research and teach about a new or different aspect of that topic. You will be able to work on this project independently, or you will be able to work with one partner. So I wanted to make this kind of flexible. I know some of you would like to work independently by yourself, and some of you would prefer to work with one other person. Upon completion, you or you and your partner, if you choose a partner, will present to the class. Now for the requirements. I ask you to include a minimum of 12 slides, including a title slide and a summary slide. Please include the presenter's name or the presenters' names on the title slide. Please include both words and pictures to make it more interesting for the people that are watching and listening to the presentation. Please make sure that your spelling and grammar are perfect. You will be able to review this. You can also ask me or Maritza to review this if you would like us to review it before you present it. Please make sure your slides are visually appealing. I've tried to kind of set an example for that for you this semester by teaching with using slides and also trying to make them visually appealing so that they're nice to look at while you're listening and learning. I ask you to please provide helpful information on the topic you've chosen. What do you want us, the people listening to your presentation, to take away from your teaching? What do you want us to learn from you? When presenting as a pair, please make sure that each person shares a portion of the presentation. I don't want to just see one person talking, but I really want it to be a shared presentation. I also ask and invite you to practice your presentation solo or together as a pair before presenting to our class. This is just something that I found very helpful really throughout my school career and my professional career. My presentations go so much better when I practice them in advance. Some additional requirements. If you're working as a group, make sure that both members fully participate. And this isn't just participating in the presentation, this is participating in researching the topic, in figuring out what slides you want to make, and making the slides together. So please make sure that both members fully participate. I want you to make this presentation your own, so please do not simply copy and paste from what I have shared on a topic, rather make it your own. So you might want to figure out a new idea or two that you can add to the topic. I ask you to organize your presentation well, just as you would if you were writing an essay on a topic. When completed, you're going to share your Google Slides document with me so that I can display it on our TV where you will present it. I ask you to be here. If you know you're going to be absent on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday of this week, our in-class working days, please do your preparation and your presentation solo. So I don't want you to partner up with somebody knowing that you're going to be gone Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, and then leave that person kind of in a lurch. I also ask you to please use class time wisely. You will have Tuesday and Wednesday to work on this presentation, so that is about 3 hours that you'll have in class to work on this presentation. If you're not able to do it in class, I would encourage you to speak with other student on the phone and kind of work virtually together. A little bit more in requirements. This is your final exam for our class, so please put significant effort worthy of a final exam. So I really want you to work hard on this. I'm giving you a bunch of time to work on it, and I really want you to dedicate your energy and your creativity into doing this project well. This project is worth 150 points, which is about what 3 weeks of our activities are worth. So it is a very significant weighted project. 50 is going to be for following directions, as I've just illustrated on these slides. 50 is going to be for including and presenting useful information. And then the final 50 is going to be for your presentation in class. How engaging were you? How professional were you? Just how did you do presenting it in class? The timeline for this project is as follows. Monday, December 5th, today, we will be reviewing the topics that we've learned about this semester. You will be deciding if you'd like to create and present solo or if you'd like to work with a partner. I'm limiting group size to 2. And you will select the topic that you want to present on. So those are my goals for you today: to review the topics, to decide if you want to go solo or with a partner, and to select your topic. Tuesday and Wednesday of this week will be dedicated to work days. You're going to work solo or with your partner on your project. Research the topic, find pictures you want to use, build your slide presentation, rehearse your presentation, etc. Work, work, work on Tuesday and Wednesday. Thursday will be class presentations. You, alone or with your partner, will take turns presenting to our class, and then the class will have the opportunity to provide feedback to you, ask questions, etc. I will be asking you some questions about your presentation and just give you an opportunity to answer those questions, and I will encourage students to do so as well. And then Friday of this week, we are going to have a game day after our final exam where I'll be bringing in some games for us to play. And we're also going to do something that I'm calling Take 5 Talks. So what I want to do is I want to meet with each student individually to talk, and I'm going to ask you to answer 5 questions. What have you enjoyed the most in our class? What have you enjoyed the least in our class? What would you like to do the same or differently next semester? And what do you feel is the most important thing you've learned? And lastly, is there anything that I can do to help you learn and be successful in our class? I know that some students feel very confident and comfortable talking in class in front of everybody, but some students would prefer not to talk in class in front of everybody. So this is going to be a one-on-one time, Take 5 Talks, where I can listen to you and learn from you to help me prepare for the rest of our school year. So at this time in class, we would be taking about a 5-minute break for everybody to think about their final exam project and decide if they want to work solo or if they want to partner up with somebody. If they are partnering up with somebody, I'm going to ask those students to sit next to each other so they can kind of be thinking together as we're talking about the topics that we've learned about this semester. And we'll also have a time for students to ask any questions that they have about our final exam project for this fall 22 semester. Next, I'm going to roll into a semester review that I'm going to go ahead and do right now in case anybody happens to be absent when we are doing this discussion in class. We started our semester way back in August, reviewing our syllabus for the school year. When we were reviewing it, I talked about what grades are going to be based on, and just to remind you, 30% of it is our attendance and participation. Showing up by itself is good, but it's not everything. I want you to attend and participate in the discussions we have and the learning activities, etc. And then 70% of your grade is based on the assignments that you do and assessments like this final exam project. Also, during our syllabus review, I said students will regularly have in-class time to work on assignments. I think I've done well honoring this one. Just making sure that you have class time to do the things that I ask you to do. I also shared that Google Classroom will be used regularly as a means for delivering and collecting assignments. As you have found, I use Google Classroom a lot. I also use it as a way of sharing kind of reminders with you, kind of forecasting and letting you know what's going to be coming up in our class. I also let you know that completing assignments and attending and participating consistently is essential to doing well in this class. So hopefully everyone wants to do well in this class. You got to show up and you got to do assignments to do well. And I also shared that we would be doing a tour of early childhood education topics, kind of introducing you to a variety of topics, and we would be completing the Gateways Level 1 credential. So that was our syllabus review. After that, we talked about classroom practices and expectations. I shared just some expectations that I have of you as students, and just to remind you, I ask you to be present, avoid daydreaming, avoid being distracted by technology and otherwise, avoid putting your head down on your desk to rest, avoid sleeping, that kind of stuff. I really want you to be present because you have to be present to learn about what we're learning about. I also ask you to actively engage in the learning activities. So when we build with blocks, engage. When we do art, engage. When we cook in class, engage. Please actively engage. I ask you to be responsible. An expectation is that you will know the assignments, that you watch for updates, you'll turn assignments in on time, you'll know where you are grade-wise and teacher ease, etc. So as a high school student, I want you to be responsible for a lot of different things. Another expectation was be kind and considerate, and I think we have done outstanding in this, just really treating others with kindness and consideration. I also asked everybody to use appropriate language, and I think we've been doing well with that, and much more. So I had a lot of expectations for you, and hopefully laying them out at the beginning of the semester has helped you to feel secure and successful in our class. I also shared some expectations that you can have of me and of Miss Maritza, who is my assistant. That you would be treated with kindness and respect. Hopefully you have felt this. That you would be introduced to a wide variety of early childhood topics. That you would participate in a variety of minds-on and hands-on learning experiences. So I try not to just stand up in front of you and lecture. I try to do some teaching up front and have some discussion up front, and then to give you some hands-on learning experiences where you can better learn what we're talking about. Another thing is for us to work to form a caring classroom community, really trying to model in our high school classroom the kind of community that we want to see happening in an early childhood classroom with young children. From there, we spoke all about art. We learned about process versus product and learned that we really want to focus on doing process-oriented art, where the process or the act of doing it is what's important rather than what it looks like in the end. We looked at several pictures, several examples of process-focused art activities, and we also looked at some product-focused art activities, and you learned the difference. We engaged in a lot of art activities in our classrooms, so you could experience firsthand what young children would experience doing art in an early childhood classroom. We learned what children learn through art, how it promotes their social, emotional, physical, cognitive, and their creative development. We reviewed tips for offering process-oriented art experiences, and that was some of what we did that day. We next turned our attention to classroom management. Classroom management is everything a teacher does to help his or her classroom to flow smoothly and help children learn from their time in the classroom and on the playground. So classroom management is a big role of what a teacher does. We spoke about how children engaged in active learning are going to have fewer challenges in classroom learning environments. So simply said, if children are engaged in learning and play, they're not going to be bored, and when they're bored is when they tend to have problems interacting with others in a classroom. We learned that children tend to thrive in well-managed and supportive classroom learning environments. We explored several tools or several things that teachers can do to manage their classrooms well, including providing activities for children's engagement, so a lot of rich activities, keeping your learning environment fresh, so there's new things for kids to do each week, providing spaces for children to be in different group sizes, whether they play alone, with one other friend, with a small group, or with a large group. We learned the importance of following a consistent daily routine so kids know what to expect. We learned about providing advance notice prior to transition. So hopefully you remember me talking about 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 2 minutes. We learned about positioning yourself wisely with your back to the wall so you can see what is happening in front of you. And much more. From classroom management, we learned about group time essentials. Just to remind you about that, we learned what group time is. It's an organized time facilitated by teachers where children gather together for a variety of activities. We learned some tips for having successful group times, such as animating your voice if you're reading a story, not worrying about what other people think when you are singing a song, and mixing old and new activities together. We learned that some common things to do in group time include singing songs, reading stories aloud, participating in movement activities, playing group games, etc. We learned that it's helpful to use group time props to help children engage during group time. Props we learned about and we made ourselves included song cards, story elements, movement cards, and more. Each of you made a prop and had the opportunity to use it in class with your fellow students. We then looked at the early childhood classroom design and interest centers. We learned about some common spaces that you would find in an early childhood classroom, such as cubby space, messy activity and eating space, space for children to play and learn, bathrooms, diapering, hand washing, rest and nap space, etc. So we learned a lot of spaces very common to early childhood classrooms. We then looked at some classroom designs for children. We looked at classrooms from infancy, toddler, preschool, and elementary school. We also looked at furnishings that would be found in the classroom, such as tables and chairs, shelves, rug, toy shelves, etc., that are common in early childhood classrooms. During this lesson, we also explored a variety of interest centers, including block and construction, the art center, housekeeping and dramatic play, science and math center, music center, manipulatives and table toys, movement and wellness. Next, we looked at a teacher's tool belt. We were exploring some guidance techniques for children. We learned the differences between positive and negative guidance. We learned that one role of teachers is to help guide children's behavior, to help children to learn to make positive behavior choices, to treat others well, to treat self well, and to treat the learning environment well. We explored 14 different tools to help teachers guide children's behavior, including say it, show it, strengthen it, using our manners, catch children being good. Reminder on this one, it's looking out into the group to see just one child doing the right thing, one child putting their hands in their lap at the table, and say, thank you, Lauren, for keeping your hands in your lap. And when we catch one child doing the right thing, it helps all the other children to do that as well. Finding the needle in the haystack, painting a picture of what we want to see happening, this, then that. For example, you're welcome to eat snack right after you wash your hands. From that week, we went to exploring about sensory play and learning. We watched several videos of teachers and parents providing sensory experiences for young children. We learned why sensory play is important for children's development. We looked at several sensory play materials and props that we could add to sensory tables. We explored sensory bottles and sensory bags. And we played with several different sensory materials and props in our classroom. As your assignment this week, you may remember that you created a sensory recipe book to show your understanding of sensory play and to give you an activity to do related to what we learned about. You may remember that we explored ingredients of a successful early childhood teacher. For this one, we made chocolate chip cookie dough as we considered a variety of ingredients found in successful teachers. You may also remember that we enjoyed eating our chocolate chip cookies on this day as well as some other days during our semester. We've eaten it all up, so we will have to make some more cookie dough for the next semester. Some ingredients we explored that we would like to see in teachers included a loving heart. And I think this is really the base ingredient. This is the flour that you need. This is what you need the most of just to have a loving heart when working with children. Creativity is very important as well as you're creating activities for kids to do and creating creative ways to present learning opportunities. You need to have a passion for your subject or your age group. Hopefully you have witnessed in me a passion for early childhood education. Need to have a strong work ethic, just working hard, being responsible, being on time, things like that. Need to be relational. Relationships are super duper important in working with children, working with students of any age really. So you need to be somebody who can relate well with others and develop relationships. Need to be organized, prepared, patient, and many, many more things. So we explored the ingredients of a successful teacher. Our side topic for that week, if you remember, was cooking with children. We made several recipes together. I remember making some pizzas. I remember making some dirt pudding and some other things together. And our assignment was for you to make recipe cards to help children see the printed word used in a meaningful way, and to learn how following directions can give us a yummy result. We then looked at quality childcare. Just what does quality childcare mean? And we looked at two different sides of it. The first one, we looked at choosing quality childcare. We explored why it is super important for parents and guardians to seek high quality learning environment for their children. It's one of the most important decisions that a parent can make. We talked about some strategies for finding quality care or quality education, including asking others for recommendations. This is a really big one because if you find that there are some parents or guardians that are highly satisfied, you might very well be satisfied as well. Visiting the program is a big thing. Having your eyes wide open and your ears wide open to see and hear what that program is like. Evaluating the program using quality indicators, which I'm going to review a few on the next slide. Another thing you can do is you can see if the program is accredited and see where they are in Accelerate Illinois. And I really try to emphasize that we need to do our homework. We need to really do good research so that we are making a well-informed decision on what's going to be the best place for my child to go. We also reviewed several quality indicators. The quality indicators we included were director and teacher qualifications. Do they have the education and experience to provide a good program? We looked at staff-to-child ratios and group sizes. Are the ratios small enough where my child's going to get some individualized care and learning? We looked at the activities that they provide for children. Do they provide hands-on and minds-on learning activities for the children? We talked about the physical setting. Is it bright? Is it cheery? Is it comfortable? Is it a place where I think my child would thrive? We looked at supervision. Does the staff do a good job supervising children to keep them safe? We looked at some very practical things such as hand washing, diaper changing, sanitizing. What is being done to keep my child healthy? We looked at child guidance practices. Do the teachers lovingly guide my children? And we looked at some more quality indicators as well. Then we kind of looked at the flip side to see what program staff could do to make sure that they're providing the quality the parents are looking for and the children so greatly deserve. We learned about checking to see if the program has a clean record with DCFS or if they have a lot of violations. We looked to see if they're in full compliance with DCFS licensing standards, and we took a brief look at some DCFS licensing standards. We looked to see if the program participates in Accelerate Illinois and if they're striving to meet the standards set forth in Accelerate Illinois. And we also talked about national accreditation, which is another way that programs can set for themselves some high standards and work to meet those standards. Next, most recently, we learned about blocks and building. We learned how block and construction play supports children's social, emotional, physical, cognitive, and language development. We looked at several different block areas, learning how to go about setting up an area for children's exploration. We also learned about different types of blocks and accessories that we may want to provide for children. And then you played in our classroom with a partner, building in 10 different block areas, and we made that into a competition where you posed your mascot with your block structure, and hopefully that was a good time of fun and learning for all of you. Recently, we talked about family engagement. We did this the week prior to Thanksgiving, and we will be doing this the week prior to Christmas for those of you who were not here prior to Thanksgiving. So family engagement prior to Thanksgiving and prior to winter break. We explored how each family has things in common, as well as how each family has differences. Just as all of us are individuals, so are our families individual from each other. We discussed how research shows that students with engaged families tend to do better academically and in life. So it's really important that we as early childhood educators really do a lot of things to try to engage families because we know that that helps students to succeed. We looked at several quotes highlighting the importance of families and engagement. And we talked about ways to engage families, such as through monthly newsletters, through family information boards, through parent-teacher guardian conferences, and through offering lending libraries. We also looked at some things that parents and guardians can do at home to support their students, such as just creating a good learning environment, a place where students can study and where they're supported in their studying. We explored family nights, which look for creative ways to involve families in the life of an early learning center or program. And as a homework assignments, you planned a family night on paper and you created a publicity tool that you would use to invite families to attend. So those were some of the topics that we explored, kind of our tour of topics. And we also worked on 5 different Gateways credentials. We completed Module 1, which focused on child development overview. We looked at Module 2A, health issues for group care, and you might remember for that one we practiced diaper changing, learned about sanitizing tables, learned just a bunch of different things that we can do to help environments to be healthy for children. We looked at nutrition issues for group care, talked about family-style meal service, talked about the meal pyramid, or not the pyramid, the My Plate. We looked at My Plate. We looked at safety issues for group care, such as providing good supervision. We also looked at observation and guidance. So those are the modules that we have completed so far. So that was a run through of the many things that we've explored this semester. So hopefully so far you've learned a lot about children and families, and I look forward to next semester where we will explore several additional topics. At this point in our in-class presentation, we would have a time to talk about any of the topics that we've explored or talk about the final exam project. Thank you.